All right, I'm Alexander Edward.
And I'm Tony Boswell.
And we are Minion Death Cult. The world is ending. China's leadership not caring about their suffering is responsible, and we're documenting it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining in. Sorry, no free episode last week. We had a bit of a scheduling conflict. You know, Tony and I are just such highly tuned modern Renaissance men that nearly every aspect of our lives is filled with hustling, filled with grinding, filled with coming up with new ways and innovative ways to hustle and grind. And when something comes up, it's like a grain of sand in a microchip, you know, and just and something, you know, the thing falls apart. So we do apologize. We apologize for thinking we could have it all and do it all, and that's not fair to us, and that's not fair to you, the listener. So we apologize. I also apologize to the person I cussed out on Patreon for complaining about a re-release of an episode. That's not me. That's not my truth. So I apologize to you.
I mean, also we just get really defensive when you know, it's like you don't want to hear an old episode twice. I listened to it like 3 times myself. So just like get on our level. It's part of our perpetual grind. The perpetual grind machine is sensitive, and that's part of it. And so we just want you to get on our level. So you know, you're welcome more than anything.
And people say that it's not, you know, when you make a good espresso, you don't want to over grind the beans. And that's something that I've always disagreed with ever since getting an espresso machine of my own. I still like a fine grind in the espresso, and it just makes the crema so thick, and it's wonderful. And there's nothing wrong. There's no way to grind too much.
It's true. I'm going to go ahead and just let that slide and not delve into my actual thoughts on that, because we do have to record an episode. But you know, you almost did a whole episode on coffee right now.
Patreon.com/Minion Death Cult for the whole episode about coffee. We're going to record for 2 hours after this episode.
The first hour will be on the importance of grind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, thank you for your patience with our schedules. Thank you for listening. Just in general, if you're not just a fan of listening, but you're also a fan of watching, go to youtube.com/Minion Death Cult, where we are now uploading videos again. We are uploading, I believe, full episodes in video form to youtube.com/Minion Death Cult. We have to let people know that we're doing stuff there again, because we weren't doing stuff there. So let people know. Let people know where we're doing stuff, who we are, and why we're good.
And you know, if like just listening is not enough incentive, one of the popular comments is there are often cats featured in the background of our videos. That you know, you always have Tony, you're Tony, and then I often have the Tony with me, and there are cats in the backgrounds of the videos most times. If you need a little incentive to go over to YouTube, there's one behind Alex right now. There's one just out of frame with me right now, who might pop in later. But you know, just it's worth coming by to try to see the cats.
We're working on adopting weirder and rarer beasts to display behind us as we record these things. So we'll keep everybody updated. And also, yeah, merchandise. The merchandise, I think it was finished Friday, finished being pressed, the sweatshirts and the shirts. And they are, I believe, en route to Tony Boswell, where he will be fulfilling all your shipping and ordering desires. So thank you to Tony for doing that. And yeah, let's get on with the show. We have to do a follow-up to last week's midweek episode on tariffs, because it turns out they're not anymore. There are basically no tariffs anymore. He announced like a 90-day pause in the tariffs, I think, like right before we released that episode. And then immediately after that said, actually, we're also exempting all computers, laptops, electronic devices.
All the things you guys want.
Everything that China exports is essentially. And the responses to this were phenomenal. The responses to him pausing the 90-day tariffs, which sent the stock market rocketing back towards the sky, with people just desperate to be, to make money the normal way again. And the responses to this were from the right wing were great because they mostly seem to consist of, yeah, it's called insider trading, dumbass. Do you want the tariffs or not? Make it. It's like you had the opportunity to make some real money in the exact same way we've been telling people it's bad to make money.
Yeah. I really wish that maybe like the hip hop community would adopt the 90-day pause. Think about how much more efficient your conversations with your friends can be if you were like 90-day pause, and then you don't have to do it for 90 days.
You're talking about
anything you say after that's not sus for 90 days once you say 90-day pause.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. And it's more stable, it's more stable for the friend group. You can actually start to plan, outings and stuff like that if you don't have to worry about, am I going to have to say, what am I going to have to say this for? What am I going to have to account for? It's all just covered under like a broad no homo agreement.
Yeah. Ever since I incorporated 90-day pause in my life, I've been able to get an entire additional workday in my week.
All that time was spent covering your bases as to not to look gay before.
Yeah, exactly.
An infomercial for just a sign you wear that says not gay. It's like you trying to cook dinner, but people keep calling you the F slur and you're like spilling boiling water on yourself and shit. And you're like, God damn it, there's gotta be a better way.
And then you're wearing the not gay shirt. Everything's smooth.
Yeah. So when the stock market rebounded after Trump said, actually, I'm not going to do the crazy thing that I campaigned on doing and just did and said was the right thing to do. People like Reddit Lies unironically tweeted out Trump just pulled off one of the largest wealth transfers in history. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's bad. They've been doing this same kind of wealth transfer for the last 50 years. Wow, that's really bad. But if you look at what this account, Reddit Lies, that we've talked about on the show, Reddit Lies responsible for one of my favorite episode titles, which is I just coined a new term, Christophobia. The definition is reddit.com.
Reddit.com.
One of my favorite episode titles. But what they're referring to is some dipshit, like either millennial or Zoomer, like epic Crusader weeb LARPer account that's Vagrant of Rhodes, and they've got a sword and a candle, a sword and a candle. This dude thinks he's in Game of Thrones.
Wait, he spells roads like the microphones? This is not a podcast reference, is he?
I think it's because he's a scholar.
Oh, okay.
I think he's a
Thank
vagrant. God. He's like the dark genius from Rhodes.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank God.
They called him a vagrant. What would they call his steel when it met their necks? Emperor Trump. This is what Vagrant of Rhodes. Can you imagine being this guy, Emperor Trump?
No, I can't. It's impossible.
This is what I'm saying when I say Reddit Lies is one of the most Reddit accounts on Twitter. Like,
they're a byproduct of what they're trying to come after for sure.
They're mad because everybody on their favorite website hates them for being a piece of shit. Yeah. Probably mostly for being annoying, but also for being a piece of shit.
That is the biggest transaction you can do on there is just be annoying. That's the worst thing you can do. You can post bigoted stuff like all you want, but just don't be annoying. That's really where it crossed the line.
Vagrant of Rhodes, sword emoji, candle emoji. Emperor Trump rewards his strongest Zoomer and millennial soldiers with easy wealth gains, pillaged from the stock losses of boomers and hedge funds. 2025 AD, colorized.
Shut the fuck up.
It's not even a photograph. It's a screenshot of Donald Trump sharing a screenshot of the stock market. It's not even, it's we colorized this purely digital creation.
Also, like colorized images are an assumption of what we think it might look like. That's not a real. You don't want to add that addendum to what you're trying to post as a fact.
Well, it's a joke. They're trying to do a meme. The
I
colorized
get
thing
it. It's
is a
bad.
meme. It's just, why would you do it on a
Yeah.
graph? This red,
Yeah, graph.
like it's red and green. Of course, it's colorized. That's how gains and losses are depicted. It's just stupid as fuck. And yeah, Trump just pulled off one of the, like, okay, if you're one of these people who supported like this, I'm just a young Zoomer with nothing to lose and I want to burn it all down. There's a lot of these guys, and like the Mark Andreessens of the world and the other like crypto tech money dipshits were like, whoa, this is so true. I never thought about it this way. Some men do just want to see the world burn, and like, this is the reality that we do have to appease these Zoomers who just want to see us kill ourselves against the Great Wall of China, just hurling American bodies with catapults at this wall because we don't give a fuck, because we have nothing left to lose.
Not even jumping off the side of it, but being thrown against the side of it is so much better.
You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like the argument is like,
Yeah.
we're going to destroy global capital, even if it whatever makes hedge fund managers cry.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, Trump was never going to do that. First of all, second of all, who do you think gains when the stock market goes back up? Like, the reason millennials and Zoomers are excluded from the gains of Wall Street and the capital class in general is because we don't have money to begin with.
Yeah.
You think like you think like Zoomers sold their like Depop vintage clothing collection in order to buy the dip? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. No, it's like I know like 3 people who are in a place in their life where they happen to have a couple grand they were able to get in there. But they
couple
also,
grand. Wow.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It was like they didn't what did you say, like sink 25,000 into Tesla like a guy in the last episode.
But even that, like, you can't live off that. You can't get rich. You can't get wealthy. You doubled it now. 50.
Oh no, they're millionaires now. I forgot to tell you. Yeah, no, they're
right.
good now. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I love this explanation. You thought Trump was stupid and doing tariffs and didn't know what he was talking about, and thought that tariffs were actually something else, and this is just like a weird grudge he's had against Asian countries for the last 50 years or whatever. No, actually, he was doing illegal insider trading, where for some reason, like, calls to reinvest in the NASDAQ and shit skyrocketed 10 minutes before the announcement that he was pausing tariffs. Totally, man. This is definitely winning. We're winning again by boosting the thing that we all agree is fake and needs to be decoupled from our economic system. Like, we agree on that part of it, at least. And now you guys have, like, the cope is so deep. Like, you have to, as a Trump supporter, you have to realize it's fucking over. Like, deep down, it's just like Trump has never looked more fucking stupid and wrong and like insane, borderline insane than he has in the last week or so. And he backed down. He fucking backed down from it. And so it's just, there's nothing left. Like, he's been, the whatever servant of the capital class this whole time, but it's funny that this was like the one semi-populist, or like what's the word, like, somebody could make the case that it's a populist decision to put selective tariffs on other countries or whatever, and the money people told him to stop, and he stopped.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like part of this whole thing where he is going to try to do everything he said, and then if it doesn't work, he's like, I fucking did. I tried, dude. I gave it a shot.
Yeah, it's not a bad strategy, I guess, in that sense.
I went for it. They're just haters. There's just too many haters out there.
The thing is like, the way he framed it all was that people were crying too much, so I had to stop.
Yeah.
People were too upset, so I had to stop. Like, he's not going to say it didn't work. he's gonna say like they didn't let me cook. You know, it's
Exactly.
and that makes you look weak. It makes you look like a bitch. Like they put a stop to you, brother.
I said, let me cook. And they said, get out of the kitchen. And now we're here.
I also really like the explanation, which we didn't get to in the previous episode, but for when everybody's 401ks were going down and people in like Trump groups themselves were like, what's happening? Why is my 401k doing this? Most of the responses to that were, what's a 401k?
Yep.
I don't have a 401k. I've never had a 401k, which again, not great. Not a good. 401ks not good in general, but they are like the only one of the very, 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 very few avenues to like comfortable retirement that people have in this country. But one of my favorite responses was, "Yeah, the market is volatile, stupid."
Yeah, that's what happens, bro. Didn't you know that?
This happens literally every 20 years, idiot.
That's why the market's not for the weak. It's not for the scared.
Survival of the fittest Roth IRAs. I love that. So the market is volatile because there's an insane person doing this stuff. For one thing, like the market is already volatile. I agree with you. I agree with you in that respect. And then on top of it, we have an absolute maniac deciding on a whim what he thinks is good business. And I'm sorry, he's an idiot. Yeah. Like he has skills. He has certain skills. Most of them are like interpersonal. Most of them are like social skills. Yeah. Like his actual like business acumen, I think, is like he's got a pretty bad track record for that.
Yeah, there's no way that like in the market you can't hire contractors and know that the settlement that you do outside for not paying them is cheaper than the actual labor you're paying for. That doesn't help the stock market, and that's really his strong game. This is not paying people that he hires.
Right. And this is another one of his strong games, or at least what he correctly identifies as one of the only wins you could pull out of this catastrophe. When he hosted people from fucking Charles Schwab in the White House after pulling out of the tariffs, and remarking about how much money they made back from him going back against the tariffs. He said, he made 2.5 billion today and he made 900 million. That's not bad.
It's so funny because like, is that how much they made after they lost it all? Yeah. Because they lost a bunch first.
Yeah. And you know what? These guys, they don't quite look like Zoomers. I'm just going to say that. They kind of look like the same adult men, middle-aged men who run this economy and benefit from it.
And it's kind of scary too, because I don't know if you heard about the White House curse, but the Dodgers were 8-0. They won every single game, and then they all agreed to go to the White House. And on the day of going to the White House, and then a couple of days after, they lost their games, and they went to a brief drought just from visiting the White House. And they're back now; they're back on top. But yeah, I hope the White House curse does not affect
the global economy.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. It's just bad vibes. You stay away. Stay away from the White House if you want to succeed.
Yeah, it's not a good move.
Yeah, and just more reporting from people like Joe Weisenthal, who's been doing great reporting on this. He's like a Bloomberg reporter and reporter for other media. He reported, quote, "The market is reassessing the structural attractiveness of the dollar as the world's global reserve currency and is undergoing a process of rapid de-dollarization," said George Saravelos of Deutsche Bank. So this is just great. It's just great that like the one thing that was keeping the country afloat was like the goodwill of capital and capitalists, and we lost trillions and money, actual Americans, through pensions and through 401ks and investments and that sort of thing. Lost, it's imaginary dollars, sure, but lost like trillions of dollars in imaginary money, just to be told, or like just to have the result be, oh, you guys are fucked now. You guys are not going to be the center. You're going to have even less leverage than you thought you had when you started this and didn't have.
De-dollarization is an amazing word, and especially considering like the strength. One of the strengths of America is the quote strength of the dollar, and the way we defend the strength of the dollar is the market. It's not really so that kind of put a big big chink in the armor.
It's once again like Americans not realizing how much we exploit other people. Like to have this relative comfort. There's a lot of obviously Americans that are not so comfortable, and in general, we are living paycheck to paycheck, but the standard of living in this country is undeniably higher than these other countries that we've outsourced all that misery and low wages to, and just a certain segment of the population is so freakish that they're willing to blow it all up because they're convinced that the foreigners are exploiting us by agreeing to be paid less money to produce goods and clothing.
Yeah, they all took like a lower standard of life just to stun on us, just to hate on us.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily looking forward to it, but I do think like the American century of humiliation will probably be good for us in the long run.
I think so. I
think that's going to be the with the re-education camp. It's just going to be all of America. Brutal austerity. The IMF is going to get to come in. IMF and McKinsey are going to get to come in and tell you how much money, what your new wage is, and how much money you owe to them and China, and it's going to be great. One of the what do you call it? One of the responses that I loved was essentially, I think it's high key problematic for you to criticize Trump for responding to the pain of the American people. Because we were obviously suffering from these these tariffs, and for a leader to admit when he was wrong in the face of the suffering of his people, like that's someone I do want to be led by.
That's big. It takes a strong man to admit when they're wrong.
He's being punished and persecuted for being an empath. Like we frequently are. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about social skills. I'm talking about Trump's ability to identify with, the weakest and meekest among us.
Yeah, Trump doesn't have heartburn. He's just feeling the pain of all of us.
This is what the fucking, what is this? The New York Times. Trump showed his pain point in his standoff with China. His pain point was getting yelled at too much. That was his pain point. Xi Jinping, who rules with absolute authority, has shown he is willing to let the Chinese people endure hardship. President Trump revealed he has limits.
Listen, Xi Jinping, who he's willing to take one on the chin for all of us and really go through it, but not our guy. Like that's how I read that, right? Our guy can't take it.
I had to look this up to make sure this was real, and I just verified. Of course, it's like paywalled or whatever, but I did see the headline and subheadline, which is all that I read right here. And I just love, there's one thing that China is known for, and it's known for leadership making decisions at the expense of the prosperity and well-being of the Chinese citizens.
Exactly.
China doesn't care how many billionaires dying results in, I don't know what, like fewer products for the Chinese population. Yeah. They don't care how many different flavors of corn syrup or whatever the population doesn't get to buy at the grocery store. Yeah, so just on top of this, they weren't even collecting tariffs at ports, according to the New York Republic.
Amazing.
I'm reading here. It turns out no one at the ports is collecting Trump's tariffs. A technical quote glitch has created the biggest hiccup in Trump's tariff rollouts. This is from April 11th, so yesterday. Awesome. Hafiz Rashid reporting, thanks to a technical glitch, Donald Trump's tariffs haven't even been collected at U.S. ports. So this reporting is like, okay, there's some glitch in the system where people aren't able to pay the tariffs, okay, that's like plausible deniability. So like we can tell these other countries, hey, we're actually not going to charge you tariffs, and we're just going to call it a glitch or whatever. But it's not even that, because the glitch is about American. On Friday, U.S. Customs and Border Protection reported that an entry code in the U.S. system for American ships to use to have their freight exempted from tariffs isn't working. And quote, the issue is being reviewed. As a result, no tariffs are being collected by the U.S. government for the time. So it's just like this little glitch that would have exempted others, your buddies or the people you've made deals with or whatever. But yeah, because of that glitch, we can't give tariffs to anybody. Actually, it sucks, man. The deep state. I bet the deep state's behind this glitch, Tony.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it to me. That logic is so funny though. Just like, so we can't do the thing where we have someone not pay it, so no one's going to pay it.
Hell yeah.
So those higher tariffs, something like that, they were higher. They just were not being collected.
This is what mass action looks like. All those container ships are basically jumping turnstiles.
Hell yeah.
It's like, what are you going to do about it, huh?
I want to see that cartoon.
U.S. shippers told the news outlet that they have not been charged higher tariff rates on their containers as recently as Thursday, despite Trump's claims that tariffs are in effect and being collected. This latest snafu is on top of the fact that many companies and industry groups are still unsure of when tariffs will be collected, especially since Trump keeps changing the rates erratically in social media posts and executive orders and making new threats almost daily. There has been some confusion on what President Trump has said in social media posts on when the tariffs start and what is written in the executive order. Jared Veronelli, vice president of U.S. sales at logistics firms Savino Del Bene, told CNBC, quote, social media posts are not law on the pause and increase in tariffs. With the constant changes to the regulations, all customs brokers in our industry have a difficult task ahead of them. So this is where you're wrong. You're trying to get good information. You're trying to be enlightened by the posts. Mm-hmm. When you should be looking at the comments below the posts. You got to look at the replies to Trump in order to find out the real dope really about tariffs.
Yeah, yeah. I love it's just funny that we have to say that now. Well, the social media posts are really confusing me about the actual laws going into effect. And then also they're right, because the thing is, this is America we're dealing with. So they're like, okay, this is happening right now, but there's a big chance we're just going to have a fat bill later on.
Yeah, totally. Exactly. And they're going to charge us interest on top of it. Yeah, it's funny with this, like, because, he exempted the most of the tariffs for 90 days or whatever, told all of his followers, we actually, we negotiated a deal in secret. We didn't draft any like actual treaty or anything like that. But trust me, like, they came back to the table and they gave us everything we wanted. And that's why we just removed the tariffs or whatever. Except for China, we're not doing China, and we're actually doing 125% tariffs on China. And China was like, okay, we'll do 125% tariffs on you. And also, there's no point in going any higher on these tariffs because it would be like the difference would be negligible at this point. You're just an idiot. And then after that, Trump was like, oh, also, I think laptops and iPads are exempt.
They're cool. They're fine.
They're fine. So just wonderful things happening at the end of Empire, pretending like we have a plan that looks like a very foolish plan that won't work, and then bailing on it before you even like actually give it the chance to work that you were talking about in the first place. And all your psychotic followers have to be like, thank you, sir. Absolutely.
This is like one of the most annoying presidencies we've ever had. Not because like, there's so many things to worry about, and you're never sure which ones you take serious. So you kind of just take them all a little bit serious, but then sometimes they're just not real.
Yeah. And it's
very confusing.
Totally. And it's like all that confusion results in a worse outcome than had you gone either way with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like being in a committed relationship and being like, you know what? I think I want an open relationship. And then you guys try an open relationship and it goes really poorly for you. You realize how bad of an idea it was to ask for an open relationship. And so you're like, oh no, actually, I think we should go back to normal.
Yeah. Especially after say like your partner's having a great time. and you're just like, ooh, this isn't working for me.
Yeah.
We got to go back.
Great strategy. Thank you, sir. All right, so this is something we've been meaning to talk about for a while, for about a week or so. The pretty terrible story of a teen stabbing and killing another teen at a track meet during an altercation that the right wing is desperately trying to turn into a new race war. It's been a while since we've had race riots in this country. I think they want to say.
People are distracted. They're distracted by so many things. We haven't been able to focus on the race war.
Like these, it's so funny. These people will never shut the fuck up about the George Floyd protests and the ironic summer of love that leveled, every single one of their hometown cities, and yet they're so desperate to like get black people mad at them again. Oh, yeah. Like not just black people, but like and anti-racist people. Yeah,
we need it. It's kind of it's like a vaccine. They need a little bit of it every once in a while to keep things stable.
So I think most people have probably heard this story, but facts have come out. There was a lot of misinformation in the first part of this story as it was coming out. There was like fake Facebook posts spreading that justified that, like, we're adding details to the case that would justify the stabbing. The boy who stabbed the other kid was black. The kid who got stabbed was white. And there were, a couple different posts like saying that the white kid sucker punched the black kid. And there were other posts saying, damn it, I just forgot. What was the second? I guess it's in this article. But so I just wanted to go through the actual details of what's been actually reported and the statements made by the people concerned. I'm reading here from Austin American Statesman. The headline is, "I did it. Texas teen charged with murder and track meet stabbing claims self-defense." We're going to be going through police statements here too. So it's important, to note that while this is actual reporting, oftentimes they do just report police statements. So you do have to kind of take it with a grain of salt and be prepared for those to be contradicted as well. I don't think a police statement is necessarily any more reliable than somebody on Facebook pretending to be the police and, saying that Carmelo was sucker punched. A Texas athlete who allegedly stabbed another at a track meet admitted to doing so in self-defense, police records show. Centennial High School student Carmelo Anthony, 17, has been charged with first-degree murder after allegedly stabbing Austin Metcalf in the heart at a high school track meet in Frisco Independent School District's Koo Kendall Stadium on April 2nd. Metcalf, also 17, was a student at Memorial High School located 3 miles north of the crime scene. The altercation between Metcalf and Anthony occurred at around 10 a.m. Police say the two were involved in a disagreement over a seat at the track meet before Anthony wielded a knife and stabbed Metcalf. Officer Eduardo Cortez, a school resource officer, was the first to arrive at the scene, according to the affidavit. Quote, "I was protecting myself," Anthony allegedly said, unprovoked, when Cortez told him to keep his hands in the air. The officer then communicated to others that he had the alleged suspect in custody, to which Anthony said, "I'm not alleged, I did it." Cortez conducted a search and found no weapons on Anthony. The affidavit states that while walking to the police vehicle with Cortez and another officer, Anthony was emotional and said, quote, "He put his hands on me. I told him not to." Another officer at the scene described Anthony as crying hysterically. Once the suspect was inside the vehicle, Cortez noticed fresh blood on his left hand. Quote, "Is he going to be okay?" Anthony allegedly asked from the back seat. Officer Allison Ricci, who assisted Cortez, reported that Anthony asked if what he did could be considered self-defense. So, I mean, important to note, don't talk to the police.
Yeah.
I don't think he said anything wrong. In fact, these statements, I think, back up his claim, But still just not a good idea to talk to cops without your lawyer present. Even if you were acting in self-defense and, are within your rights, being within your rights includes the right to remain silent,
I mean, not only that, but I mean, we just got to say it, like the right to self-defense is not something that is always something that we as, specifically black men in America are able to wield. We don't have a good track record of being able to defend ourselves without repercussions. So it's sad that, he believes in the system where you can defend yourself, but it's pretty optimistic to think that those rights also will be applied to you as a young black man.
Yeah. As far as this situation goes, like, I don't, it really, we'll get to it. The family of the victim, the family of the deceased kid are not making this a race thing. They are explicitly trying to combat the racist people coming to their support. They've said this isn't a race thing. I think it's just a sad that, you see, I don't know. I've seen a couple people try to like dunk, be like, that's what that white boy gets or whatever. And it's just like, this is fucking sad. Like, it's sad for Carmelo Anthony doubly. He got like, maybe he got bullied, or he definitely got like accosted or whatever to try and, get him to move. And now he's killed somebody, it's extremely fucked up.
I think it doesn't really matter the situation. When you get into altercation and it goes further than you expect it to, it's difficult. It's a hard thing to wrap your mind around, and especially if you're like a young person or anybody really. But yeah, it doesn't really matter the situation. It's going to be it's regrettable. He didn't want. He obviously did not want it to go that way.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like surrounded by 4 or 5 athletic people who are trying to intimidate you and who might have some, I don't know what the racial makeup of all these guys were. I could see, being a minority and being surrounded by 5 white jocks, like something like that might have happened to him before, you never fucking know. And I can totally see why you would feel threatened, and even threatened to the point where you would want to have a weapon on you. But that doesn't mean that he made the right decision. That doesn't mean, I don't know. It's hard to make decisions in that situation. He didn't bring a fucking gun to school and was like, I'm going to shoot the first person who pops off at me. Like, that's a different thing than I think what happened here. And I just, I don't think this kid does like necessarily, I don't know all the details or whatever. It doesn't seem like jail would help this kid. He seems very remorseful for what he did. He's still a minor, and probably needs a lot of therapy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. The way that I heard about this story, would you believe it, Tony, was through right-wing Twitter.
No
way. The way that I first heard about this story was through none other than Matt Walsh. Did you see this tweet from Matt Walsh?
No.
This is probably like one of the nastiest things, if not the nastiest thing I've seen this guy do. This is, of course, Daily Wire reporter, podcaster, commentator, Matt Walsh, who tweeted out, "If I told you that a young man stabbed another young man to death for telling him that he was in the wrong seat." See, that's an interesting way of saying that happened.
Also, saying that he stabbed another young man to death makes it seem like way more brutal than like what
repeatedly.
Stab. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it was an unfortunately the lucky shot straight to the fucking heart. It's crazy. And then I told you that one young man in this altercation was white and the other black. And then I asked you to guess the race of the assailant. Every single person would know the answer immediately. Right, everybody? We're all absolute racists, right? Am I right?
Yeah, we would know the answer if we're going by the history of America, right? If we're going by the history of America, who gets stabbed for being in the wrong seat?
It's so crazy. Like, to even, because he's reducing it to, well, he was just sitting in the wrong. They were just trying to get him out of his seat. And it's like, there's such a famous civil rights incident of somebody being told to leave their seat and refusing.
Yeah.
And then this guy refused. And by multiple reports, I think even the victim's brother said that the dude put his hands on him, that the dude like started a fight with him. And it's just like, no, I don't think, you should stab somebody just because they start a fight with you. But I can understand it. I can understand that, I can understand why it happened. And then he goes on. Young black males are violent to a wildly, outrageously disproportionate degree. That's just a fact. We all know it, and it's time that we speak honestly about it, or nothing will ever change. And of course, this has 169,000 likes on the Nazi app. This is we don't all know this, Matt. And like in general, violent crime is at its lowest point in in modern history, and to still be like trying to spin yourself up about this like pogrom against white people by black people is not just like racist. It's so fucking unhinged and so opposite to the reality that we all people who live in the real world and not just in a libs of TikTok media feed do not feel this way.
No.
And it's funny because if you go to Matt Walsh's Twitter page, his bio, he still just has his cover photo of the title of his movie, Am I Racist?
Well, I think you cleared that up for us. Thank you very much.
Yes, you are. You were the definition of racist, man. It's just, I guess he's like determined that there's less utility in pretending to not be racist anymore than there is in trying to deliberately stoke a race war.
And it's just like this whole thing is just so silly. It's like we all know it, and it's time we speak honestly about it. It's like, dog, you guys have been speaking quote honestly about that forever.
Yeah,
forever. That's a common thing that's been said, in America forever, is that black men are more violent than white men, and it's just like it's unfounded. You're going by like weird crime stats and like FBI stats like that don't mean anything, and it's like you guys have not shut the fuck up about it for the past 300 years.
Yeah, it's what is the solution here? Like this country already locks up black men at a wildly disproportionate rate, even for non-violent offenses.
Yeah.
Like we know what the goal for you guys is because we see it already in our reality. Like this is the end goal where a minority population is so heavily policed and so heavily suppressed and repressed and systematically impoverished that you can just throw them in prison with impunity, and you're already doing it. I don't like, what are you fucking crying? Like you're crying because we don't have actual Jim Crow era segregation.
Yeah.
Which again, I got to say, you're not going to get a lot of people on your side for that one. Like there's plenty of people who are willing to keep their heads down to go with the systemic racism, and because it doesn't affect them, or at least it doesn't affect them right then in that moment. You start trying to do actual Nazi shit like this, you're going to have real big problems.
Yeah, and you haven't even considered what that's going to do to professional sports.
Somebody brought up, hey, didn't like white people colonize and enslave entire continents of people? Didn't that happen? Santosh replied to him, if I told you that one group of people committed acts of savage colonial violence, slavery, 2 world wars, dropping 2 nuclear bombs on civilians, and told you to guess the race of these groups of ultra-violent planet killers, and you guessed white, you'd be correct. And Matt quote tweets that and says, if you told me that one group of people committed slavery, I would inform you that you have shit for brains, because literally every group of people committed slavery. Hey, that's not cool. We're all human beings who do slavery. We're all one race, the slavery race.
Yeah, they've all done it. It's like completely negating the fact that the whole problem is that America continued to do it long after the world decided it was not okay.
Yeah. Also, every race of person has stabbed another race of person to death.
Yeah,
Again, like it's
exactly.
it's just it's so obvious how full of shit these people are. It's all vibes based. It's all because of their racist derangement. That's it. There's no logic behind it. There's no rationale behind it. It's just hatred.
Like, has Matt Walsh ever heard of a lynching? Does he know that that's a thing? That's like, oh no, like it used to happen the other way around, but in a public square with an audience.
So a lot of people are trying to grift off this and trying to make their favorite white nationalist points or whatever. And I guess some people are maybe more adept at that, like Matt Walsh, and then there's other people like this woman who I follow, Justine Brooke Murray, who is she's like a supermodel who got, or not a supermodel, she's like a model or a pageant. She's a pageant contestant.
It's funny how different those two things actually are.
Yeah, let me see if I think she got kicked off for being like anti-gay.
She looks like a pageant woman. Like the pageant beauty is still a thing that's not like supermodel beauty. It's a totally different thing.
Yeah, she's like a fucking F tier podcast host at the Media Research Center. I think she like won Miss Trump USA or something like that.
Nice.
But I can't remember what the controversy. Miss America hopeful goes viral calling protesters jihadists. Yeah, she's also a massive Zionist. Oh my God. I have to click on so many fucking pop-ups. This is Newsweek. Okay. A pageant queen with her eyes on the Miss America crown appeared at a pro-Palestine rally in New York to say the words jihadists at the crowd. This is from 2023. She was popular before this, so this wasn't like the initial her like initial crash out. But yeah, she's a massive Zionist. I can't remember if she's Jewish or not. But anyway,
she's a pageant queen.
Why?
You gotta like Jesus to win a pageant.
Oh, you have to like Jesus? Oh, yeah.
I think you have to end it with like God bless America.
Totally. Yeah. I wonder if, man, I'll have to keep an eye out for that because I feel like I've seen her wearing like a Star of David pendant, like a little diamond necklace pendant, but that doesn't necessarily mean she's Jewish.
It is funny how they figured out solidarity in the worst way possible.
But yeah, TMZ reported that the kid, Carmelo, I keep wanting to say Carmelo Anthony. Isn't that a different guy?
Carmelo Anthony is a basketball player.
Yeah. What is this?
A great one, but due to bad ACLs and bad knees, he never really got the career he deserved. But he was one of the GOATs.
Yeah, this kid's name is Carmelo Anthony too.
Probably named after Carmelo Anthony.
Okay. I was like, fuck, I don't want to be messing up this kid's name. Yeah, she quote tweeted a TMZ story who reported that, Carmelo Anthony may have been just defending himself, and she said they're seriously justifying the murder of white people because they're white now.
to read that headline and get that outcome is just like, so, why do they always make it about race? Why do these people always make it about race, Always playing the victim, making it about race.
Well, it's as a white person, it's part of our ethnicity to go pushing people around and saying, hey, what's the big idea?
Yeah.
Like it's in my genetic code to say, you from these parts, boy?
I just we need to know that everyone's in their correct seats. It's our thing.
So yeah, the dad said he was a good kid, Blissy, and this is in, I think, like the USA Today or comments, some Newsweek comments. Why is a quote good kid carrying a knife? Enough said. And Alley Cat 323 replies, I'm for him getting punished to the fullest extent of the law for this senseless murder, but plenty of men carry knives. Swiss Army knives, just knives on keychains. Granted, it was a foolish thing to do, but people do carry knives. And this person was like in the replies in other places, like defending knives because, again, like, what they have gun restrictions in Britain, and people still do stabbings and things like that. So there's also knife restrictions, and that's like a major what do you call it, like a rallying cry for the right wing is like, look at how they're impeding our freedoms to carry knives or whatever. But much like gun control and the Black Panthers, they'll use a black kid using a knife in justified self-defense in order to get the same like British anti-knife laws here in America.
Yeah, because I can find you a million memes and posts, and even my own mentality where it's like, no, get your kid a knife early. Get your kid a knife early so they learn how to be safe with it, learn how to use it as a tool, that kind of thing. Like I'm a huge proponent of that. I got Penny a knife when she was like, I got her a Swiss Army knife when she was like 9. That she does like carry in her little bag, and she uses it all the time as a tool. Like it is to kind of try to take that very traditional mentality and like flip it. Like, why do they even have knives? It's like, what? No, that's supposed to be part of the whole thing. Like, we're supposed to be have the ability to take care of ourselves, not necessarily for self-defense, but as a tool.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, what is my child supposed to throw into a wood fence to get it to stick there?
Exactly. And then even like, like my girlfriend goes on walks and stuff like that at night and stuff like that. She had a little knife, and I was like, oh, that's not a stabby knife. You can't stab anybody with that knife. Let me get you a stabby knife. Like, there is also that proponent of it.
And then W Pony replies, because Alley Cat said plenty of men carry knives. W Pony replies, he's not a man, he's 17.
Refreshing. That's nice.
Yeah, but meaning he was even more wrong. If he were a man who had a knife, then that's okay. But since he was a kid with a knife, he's a cold-blooded murderer.
Oh,
see how that works? Somehow him being a child is a greater indictment of him.
They're not going to use that same logic when it comes to sentencing or anything like that. It's just when it comes to the level of twisted they are.
Yeah, whether he was allowed to have a knife in the first place. Nobody, not even a man, is allowed to bring a concealed weapon to a high school sporting event in Texas. All student athletes know that, and parents know it because we all have to sign participation forms. You actually sign the participation forms?
Pussy.
That's the first step to getting a participation trophy.
Yeah, talk about bending the knee.
Oh, I hate participation trophies. Let me just sign up for the participation. The rules are clearly written. I liked this one too. Awake, not walk. But I think they meant woke, but didn't type it in. Awake, not walk. This person is really anti-Chinese.
Yeah, I thought they were just being a very special kind of racist right there.
Honey, go see if the babies walk. Yum. Delicious. Oh yeah. She's walk as fuck.
Yeah, no, this baby's great. I mean, you gotta just get it heated on high, a little bit of oil, fast fry. Good baby.
Awake, not walk comments, it was their easy up and their chairs ... they provided, period. So I guess if you tell someone to get out of the chair you brought from home, you started it. Got it. And this happened in bleachers. This happened in the bleachers at the track meet where there was a tent with, I'm guessing, shade where somebody might want to sit. And like, I don't know, if you're sitting there by yourself and there's plenty of room around you for other people to sit, like, yes, it is a huge dick move to kick somebody out from the shade of your easy up or whatever. But yeah, just crafting fan fiction to justify why we should try this child as an adult and give him the death penalty.
I love that. Yeah. To paint this narrative, like, the other kid not only brought a folding their own chair, but an easy up. It's just like that's what had to have happened. It must have been in their easy up, because I know I don't let anyone get in. I bring easy up everywhere I go. It's like, you didn't have to do all that. You did have to do all that to justify it. Actually,
if it's your easy up, you can cite castle doctrine and unload a full magazine into whoever's sitting in its shade.
Yeah, that's true.
This is the other thing that I guess is worth mentioning. They're uploading photos of him to try and delegitimize him being a nice kid. Kiki for real says that, does this look like a nice kid? And they've uploaded a compilation like of 2 different photographs. One of is him holding up an assault rifle, throwing up sign with his other hand, and then the other pic is just him with a lighter in front of his face, making an evil face and flipping off the camera like he's in Hot Topic.
And you know what? I'm going to tell you, this does look like a nice kid. The kid's probably fine.
He looks fine.
And like you don't want to play the race game with like, look at this young black man holding a gun. You don't want to play that one because there's a million photos of a million white kids holding a million guns.
Yeah, you want to see this, Tony? This is where the photo is from. The photo of him holding the gun is cropped of him posting with his mixed race group of friends.
Yep.
Who are all, like posing for TikTok or whatever. And there's a white guy, another black guy, and then maybe another white guy or an Asian guy. I can't tell because he's wearing sunglasses. So I need to get a closer look. I need to get in there, really feel his eye folds and look into his irises to see what race he is. But this
hair and hat combo, we cannot see the shape of his cranium just to get ahead of it.
He is wearing a Corona shirt and a Corona hat though, so I'm pretty sure he's white.
Yeah, the combo.
This is what kids do. And if you're trying to use it as a racist pointer, like he's very clearly anti-racist, like he's hanging out with white dudes,
Imagine like using like a picture of like a white girl hard styling in court. Like, oh look, does this look like a wholesome individual? This is how gangs pose, right? This is a prison pose. Did you know that?
You're like, oh, would an innocent girl have these lyrics? And it's just like a Wu-Tang song that she covered on ukulele from a YouTube. Do innocent girls really say that cash rules everything around me?
And what means is she willing to get the dollar bills, y'all?
So they're really mad at the victim's dad for saying this wasn't a race thing. Like this captive dreamer Nazi guy on Facebook who got doxxed, and his own dad is like a preacher who disavowed him for being a racist.
Damn, a preacher disavowing him for being a racist? You are racist.
Yeah. Says, I simply can't imagine being a father and going on national television one day after your son was stabbed to death by a black kid to grovel like this. Utterly despicable. And I'm just going to stop you right there. You simply can't imagine being a father, period, because no woman will ever love you. No woman will ever want to be with you long enough to give you a child. So there's probably a lot of things about being a father you can't imagine.
There are layers to this, bud.
Yeah, so he said, the dad said it wasn't about race. Average Joe replies, if it wasn't race, then what the fuck was it? Again, just like, if it wasn't the only thing I care about, what could it possibly be?
No, I only get mad at other races. I know what that's the only thing it could possibly be. It's like people get in disagreements, like from all walks of life, believe it or not.
No, my media diet has told me that the only thing that exists is anti-white racism.
Yeah. No,
like friendship, platonic love, romantic love, loyalty, fake. It's all fake, false. The only thing that exists is white genocide.
Yep. Imagine just being like, listen, like I've never seen white people argue with each other. I've never seen it. Okay, listen, that's family though. It happened at Thanksgiving, but that's family. It's different.
Jeremy says he may forgive the killer. So the dad, he may forgive the killer, but us normal people never will.
How is it normal to care about somebody else's affairs so much that you're going to override the feelings of the family? That's not normal, bud.
Yeah. By forgive the killer, he means like anybody who vaguely looks like the killer. Like, do you think Jeremy Dolan really has a face for really has a knowledge of black faces? Like, do you think he's really gonna be able to tell the difference between this guy and like a rando on the street? No, they're all the same.
Jeremy Dolan is the same customer that comes into work all the time and thinks I'm the other black bartender who I guess has a beard and glasses, or the portrait of Black Chris who passed away a couple years ago that's hanging in there, who also happens to be a black guy with a beard and glasses, who thinks we're all three the same person. That's Jeremy Dolan.
That sounds pretty normal to me. It sounds like a normal guy.
Yeah.
And this is the last one. Aries Atlas says, I have a different take.
Oh,
the left turns everything into race and politics. He, the dad, is showing that the right takes the high road versus burning and looting. And he got ratioed with 7 comments calling him a cuck and calling him a part of white genocide.
Beautiful. No, but you're way wrong there, actually.
Again, your media diet consists entirely of right-wing racial grievance politics, man. Sorry, I don't know who you think you are, but you're not that.
Yeah. Maybe the rest of the comments disagreeing with you. Just look around, bud.
Yeah. That's all I had for this segment. I think maybe we can end it just by saying race war bad, racism bad. Not even once, folks. Don't do it.
I gotta say, I am at least proud of everybody in the comment section for avoiding like a race track meet pun. That's good. That's a step further in the direction I want to see. So good job there. But that's the only credit I'm going to give these people.
Yeah. I guess a track meet is kind of a synonym for a race war.
Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't about race, it might have been about the race.
Yeah. I mean, you got to look at results, it's the only real way we can judge these things. Okay. The last topic, I wanted to kind of end on something, a little more wholesome, a little more heartwarming. Thank you to, I believe it's Jake in the Facebook group, for sharing this. ICE had arrested a mother and her 3 kids from a New York, it was like a factory, but there was a house on the same property, and arrested them and shipped them off to a detention center. And over 1,000 people in New York came out to protest in front of the border czar's house in New York.
Yeah.
And I guess because of that, they decided to release the mother and the 3 children, which is wonderful. All right, reading here from The Guardian. ICE frees mother and 3 kids after protests in U.S. border czar's hometown. About 1,000 people marched outside of Tom Homan's home in village of less than 1,500 after family was detained. This guy, Tom Homan, seems to be like an incredible piece of shit in general, but also he seems like one of the many non-functioning alcoholics this administration has hired to be various cabinet members, because I've seen some interviews with him where he's like sub Fetterman levels of communication.
Ooh, brutal.
He is like
at least Fetterman levels of functionality here, at least.
He's like 1 second away from saying, "Why don't I deport you?" to like any journalist who asks him a question.
I can't wait for it. I hope it happens.
You can just see it behind his eyes. A mother and her 3 children who were taken into custody by Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents as part of a sweep in the tiny home of the Trump administration's border czar, Tom Homan, have been released following days of outcry from community figures, advocates, and protesters calling for their freedom. Over the weekend, about 1,000 protesters marched outside Homan's home in a small New York village, calling for the release of the family after they were detained last month. The family has not been named or spoken out publicly. Jamie Cook, principal of the Sackett's Harbor School District, where the children reportedly attended class, wrote a letter to the community pleading for the students' safe return. She described the students as having, quote, no ties to criminal activity and that they are, quote, loved in their classrooms. Quote, we are in shock, the letter reads, and it is that shared shock that has unified our community in the call for our students' release. The family was taken into custody at a 27 March raid at a large dairy farm in the remote town that has a population of fewer than 1,500 in Jefferson County in northwestern New York State on Lake Ontario near the Canadian border. The target of the raid was reportedly a South African national charged with trafficking in child sexual abuse material, whom they apprehended, Customs and Border Protection agents said. But authorities separately picked up and detained the family as well as 3 other immigrants they said were without documentation. The family was moved to the Karnes County Immigration Processing Center, a privately run detention facility in Texas, by March 30th.
Jesus.
Cook's letter said that the family had declared themselves to immigration judges, were attending court on their assigned dates, and had been following the legal process. The American Civil Liberties Union said the children were aged 9, 15, and 18. The New York branch of the advocacy group called the detentions outrageous and their release a huge relief. The release of the family was confirmed on Monday by local officials, school administrators, and the New York governor, Kathy Hochul. Hochul said in a statement that she had direct confirmation from Homan that this family, a 3rd grader, 2 teenagers, and their mother, are currently on their way back to Jefferson County. I cannot imagine the trauma these kids and their moms are feeling, and I pray they will be able to heal when they return home. I just kind of want to say fuck you to Kathy Hochul, because I'm pretty sure she did not fight back against Eric Adams when he was declaring war on undocumented people in New York City, nor has she spoken out against Eric Adams running for mayor again, despite being, he got the charges of corruption against him dropped. Like, also, Andrew Cuomo is running, notorious sexual assaulter Andrew Cuomo rerunning for mayor. Kathy Hochul has not had the, you're the governor. You should be able to stand up to a mayor.
This happened in your state. You let this happen in your state. This is very, not even indirectly your fault. You allowed this. Yeah, you are his boss, and you're not acting that way.
And this is what ICE does. This is the only function of ICE. Like, we already have cops to arrest violent criminals, not that that's like actually what their purpose is in society, yada, yada, yada. We already have a supposed system that takes reacts to criminality and antisocial behavior in society. ICE just exists for the further trafficking of people, for the further impediment to other people's rights and livelihoods and, well-being. Like, this is all they fucking exist for. They are the modern day fucking Gestapo. And they're not even, like people point out, they're not even that old of an agency. They were created, in the 2000s. It's insane that Democratic leaders, supposed Democratic leaders, are still running on giving this agency more money. Like, this is what Kamala Harris ran on. She ran on giving these people more money. And it's so funny to see her flirt with the idea she's going to run again in 2028. If Democrats pick her for the good, they deserve her. This is all happening, yes, because of Trump, but also because of Democrats. It's happening because of the entire system that we've set up and defended. And it's awful. It's fucking despicable.
Anything there's no pushback against is going to work. It's going to happen. There is no pushback against this. There's none. And so, yeah, of course it's going to happen.
They like it. The Democrats like it when this happens. It's just a convenient thing to the only reason she's speaking about it at all is because of how much political energy there is in fighting back against this stuff among just even normie Democrat voters. Because if you read this, the protests were organized with the help of the Jefferson County Committee of the Democratic Party. Corey DeSillis, committee chair, told NBC News these raids, quote, occur right in the last 60 days across the country. But when it happens in your backyard, I think that's what garners people's attention. I feel like I say this all the time on the show. I'm not a purist, and I don't take it my opposition to the Democratic Party is I like to think practical, I like to think based in not just like a practical way forward to get like what we all kind of think would be the best outcome for society. But also because like our principles are different, you
Yeah.
know? So like it makes me happy when I see a democratic organization doing cool shit like this. I'm
Doing
not
stuff
good,
good.
like I will blame Kathy Hochul for swinging in at the last second and putting her arm around the fucking kids and being like, we all did such a good job getting these kids free. Right.
And I'm definitely going to give her shit for not. I don't think has she made any changes since. Has she decided to like put a stop to this now, or is she just having some fake empathy for this family?
Yeah. Is New York a sanctuary state? Yeah, so I mean, well, New York City is, but Eric Adams
Exactly.
famously stopped doing that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's any like statewide legislation in New York that does not cooperate with ICE, because it seems like they cooperate with ICE very frequently.
And
So
it didn't happen, because if that did happen, we'd be covering an article where everyone's going to talk about how the crime rates are going to go up in New York because it's a sanctuary state. So it definitely didn't happen.
yeah, I mean, so shout out to these people who came out in support of a member of their community. Like this is, this is the only way forward,
Mhm.
because the cops aren't on our side. ICE is certainly not on our side. The politicians won't be on our side until we demonstrate to them that they have to be.
Yeah, this is a wonderful example of power numbers showing up and showing real solidarity, and the fact that these people have names and addresses.
Yep. Absolutely. So I don't know. It's just I wanted to end the episode on this positive note, and it's like we look at a lot of what's wrong with our country and with the world right now, but it's nice to look at potential paths forward.
Mhm.
Gotta look at that stuff too, and again, like not be what's like partisan, like not be partisan in this shit. And if you see Democratic voters willing to stand up to this shit, like that is good. That
Mhm.
is that is the development that we need to happen. That needs to
Yeah.
happen.
And this is
Uh,
also a really good illustration of the difference between like performative protest and direct action.
yeah.
This is people showed up because there was an objective, there was an ask, there was something to do. They did it, and it actually happened. I'm not saying it's going to happen every time, but it does happen. Now, making a clever sign and showing up in like a an area that has been okayed with, and working with the LAPD to make sure your protest is safe, that's not going to get anything done. But
No,
showing up, actually
yeah.
stirring shit up, and actually having a direct ask and a real objective that's not a vague, like, you know, your love trumps hate shirt has no objective.
Yeah, when it's a hand, like I'm not saying people are wrong for doing the hands off protests or whatever. Like I totally get that inclination. But yeah, it's just here are the things we like. We're going to protest
Hmm.
about a bunch of things we like, and it's like you don't have the power to implement an agenda. Like what you
Hmm.
guys are doing, you're protesting about an agenda that you want. Well, the Democrats already lied to you and said that's the same agenda
Yeah.
they want, but they're not doing it.
Also,
So
you're showing.
then cynically it becomes like a here's our good opinions rally.
Hmm.
And it's like as much as I agree with all those opinions, like you said, Tony, there has to be a mechanism or a specific ask, like a target that can be achieved through mass action, or else it's like disheartening, or like it can be used as a cynical thing to show, oh, that these people don't actually care about any of this. They just want a virtue signal or whatever, which I'm not
Hmm.
saying is the case, but it's just like, what have they achieved? What are
Yeah.
you going to be able to achieve with that?
Well, it is the whole idea of like everybody there, everybody at like the hands off thing. It was thousands of people who had a vague idea of what they were doing, but they probably all have different ideas of what they really want to happen. But every single person who showed up at that border czar's house, they all had one objective.
Mm-hmm.
They all agreed on that one thing, and that was what the mission was. And that's kind of that's one of the most effective things we can do, is have an objective and get that done.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, yeah, let's leave it here. Thanks for listening. If you want a bonus episode every week and help support the show and what we do, reminder that we don't ever run ads. We're independently worker owned podcast. we're a worker owned podcast. Go to patreon.com/minion death cult, $5 a month gets you a bonus episode every week, as well as access to hundreds of previous bonus episodes. And I think that's it. Anything else, Tony?
No, I love it. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. We love you guys. Keep on, get those bonus episodes. They're really good. There's a lot of good stuff over there. Again, check out the YouTube. It's fun. Lots of us looking really good with cats behind us.
Yeah. Bye.
Peace.